I really didn't think this trial could sicken me any more than it had already, and then Marc Agnifilo opened his mouth. If you were expecting the defense to come out with any humility or even a little remorse in Sean Combs' closing argument, that is definitely not what happened. Instead, Agnifilo stood in front of the jury and told them that this case wasn't about trafficking, it's not about kidnapping or organized crime, it was about love, drugs for personal use, and a swinger lifestyle. He straight up mocked the government's case. He said, "You want to know what this is? This is about 5 Valium pills and some Astroglide." And according to him, all the crime scenes the government described, that was just Combs' sex life. And he wasn't paying the escorts for sex, he was just paying them for their time. He didn't know it was illegal to make pornos with girlfriends. But what really stood out was how the defense portrayed every woman who took the stand, not as a victim, but as someone who either loved Sean Combs, wanted something from him, or just regretted the choices that they freely made. Let's start with Mia. Agnifilo said Mia loved working for Diddy. She made him a scrapbook for his 45th birthday. He read it out loud to the court, saying it was full of nostalgia, love, and admiration. He said if Combs really thought that what they did was wrong, he wouldn't have threatened to tell Cassie about it because that means it was consensual. According to him, Mia's testimony was fake, and the version of her in the scrapbook was the real Mia. Then came Cassie, arguably the central figure in the prosecution's case. The defense did not deny that there was domestic violence, but they brushed it off with a quote, "We own that." And then they pivoted hard, portraying Cassie not as a victim, but as the winner. Agnifilo said she got $30 million, and Combs is now in jail. She won 100 to nothing, he told the jury. They described their 11-year relationship as a passionate, modern love story, one filled with consensual sex and mutual jealousy, big emotions. He said if there's an opposite of a racketeering conspiracy, it would be their relationship. In the infamous freak-offs, he said Cassie wanted them. He read her text talking about fantasies, about being so hot and wanting to be so close to Combs. He even said, quote, "Can you sex traffic your girlfriend? Maybe, if you're pushing her into prostitution for money," but he wasn't getting paid. And that line stuck out to me because here's the thing. Under federal law, you don't have to make money to be guilty of sex trafficking. Under 18 U.S. Code Section 1591, it's trafficking if you recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, or maintain by any means a person knowing or in reckless disregard that they'll be caused to engage in a commercial sex act by force, fraud, or coercion. Money doesn't have to change hands. What matters is coercion and commercial sexual conduct, period. But the defense tried to make it sound ridiculous. They said she was fine with the first 74 men, but guy number 75, that's sex trafficking, as if the number somehow invalidates the entire allegation. They say that Cassie was a woman who loved sex and described the videos the jury saw as beautiful, with music playing, Cassie eating watermelon, everyone having a good time. They name-dropped Usher, but I'm not sure so much about what that was about. I'll find out more, though. They suggested that if Cassie was really traumatized, she would have deleted the videos. Never mind the context of control, manipulation, or fear that could have played into her not doing that, or she could have just been saving them for evidence. And here's what gets worse. When she alleged rape, the defense said there was no lead-up, no clear moment had happened, and even floated that maybe it didn't happen. They pointed to a text where she said that she enjoyed the night and told the jury that's not what a rape victim would say. The defense also mocked the kidnapping charge involving Capricorn Clark. They said if going to work, coming home every night, and later begging not to be fired is kidnapping, then most people with a boss are being kidnapped too. He joked that if you come to court every day and don't want to be there, you must be being kidnapped. And when it came to the gun allegedly used to threaten her, the defense said there's no DNA, no fingerprints, and no police report listing it as anything more than trespassing. He claimed the whole thing was dramatized and exaggerated. As for Jane, the other accuser tied to the more recent allegations, the defense said she wasn't trafficked either. They focused on her text messages saying she arranged the hotel nights herself, picked out which escort she liked, and they said that she agreed to it, unfortunately, and that's where they tried to leave it. But again, under federal law, agreeing to something under manipulation, financial dependence, or emotional control can still fall under coercion. Consent given under pressure is not always consent. I thought we were past this. Now let's talk about Rico. The defense said this wasn't a criminal enterprise, just one man, Sean Combs. They said there was no organization, no structure, no co-conspirators. KK, just a loyal assistant. D-Rock, a friend. Nobody involved in crime. And they argued if you're going to charge conspiracy, you need at least 2 people, and there's only one trial here. I agree. Why is Christina Coram not on the stand? They ended by attacking the government, accusing them of targeting Combs, saying the investigation was flawed and that the jury should be brave enough to acquit. His final plea: let him go home to his family. He's not a racketeer. He is innocent. And that's how they closed, by telling the jury that Combs is a victim of the government overreach, that the women were not victims, but bitter exes or regretful lovers, and that all of this boils down to drugs, jealousy, and sex, not crime. And Diddy, just a black entrepreneur trying to bring up the community he's from while being a loving father. They turned what many saw as serious and disturbing pattern of abuse into a love story gone wrong. While I personally think their closing argument was trash, just very subpar, I need you all to remember that all they have to do is create a reasonable doubt in the jury's mind. They don't have to prove that he did or didn't do anything. They just have to make the jury think that it's possible that he didn't do the things that the prosecution is accusing him of. The court took a break after this before the prosecution's rebuttal, so make sure you're following for that recap as well, with all facts and no fluff.